Hello, good morning. So I'd want to finish off this series about my spiritual psychoses that I had. I've got the TV on actually. There's yeah, see, it's not that he's just good looking, it's just a very extremely good chef. Look at that. The way he prepares his food, wow. Look at that. Can you cook that? Can you do that at home? I don't think you can. Yeah, look at that. So that's why I enjoy watching that program. I'm not just like salivating over James Martin or something. It's because the way he prepares his food as well. And then he has some good guests on that show as well. So at the moment he's got Vanessa Williams on, very pretty lady. Anyway, so yeah, I've been talking about this spiritual psychosis that I had in 2008. And so there was just a few other things I wanted to mention, because I'm coming to the end of this now, really. The majority of things that I wanted to talk about, mention, I've spoken about those things. So there's just two other things. When I was in the hospital, because the nurses, they come round, yeah, when you're sleeping at night, and then they come in the night time to check on you, and they have these torches, and they flash these torches in your face in the middle of the night. But anyway, I just, one time I had the Metro newspaper, and it's like I woke up and I had the Metro newspaper was right on the floor at the side of my bed. And I think I was flicking through the paper, and then it turned to the one page, and there was this picture of, I think it was the Grand Canyon. If it wasn't the Grand Canyon, it was something very similar like this. But it was a deep, it was like an abyss, deep cave. And the picture was showing you like how the depths, and the depths of this cave, right? And it's like the way I looked down, excuse all my, I know I need to tidy up. The way I looked down at the picture, it was like, again, it just gave me that, I just was filled with this, this kind of like, and it was like, how to explain, yeah. Like I said, I just was on this real spiritual vibe thing when I was in the hospital. So as soon as it's like I looked down at the picture, and it really was like that. Like, I think I just had this thought like of falling into the like abysmal pit, yeah, that had no depth to it, that you just keep falling and falling and falling down this like pit, this cave that's just like never ending. Yeah, things like that. I remember that. And then I think it was around the same time I remember waking up in the morning, and I'm trying to show the position of myself on this camera. It's like the way I was lying on the bed, right, is this world, right, the perception that I was having, this world is very fully alive. It's more alive than what we realise. Everything is alive and vibrating and communicating. Even the material world, even like the 2D world, even visual pictures, everything around us, it's got its own energetic heartbeat. And so things like this, the picture of the Grand Canyon, it's like, as I looked at the picture, the effect of it was immediate, and it's like spiritually, that spiritual awareness, that spiritual understanding of looking down, like falling into the pit, yeah, and just falling, yeah. So this is what I'm saying, yeah. It's like everything, it's like my soul was in touch with that aliveness of everything around us. That's my best way to describe it. I've heard people, yeah, when they have these NDEs, near-death experiences and stuff, they go to heaven, go to hell, and they say, for example, they might be describing the colours of the place, and they explain how, when I'm telling you, like, I'm saying, oh, it was like this, or it was like that, or the colour was this green, or it was like this red. It's because that's exactly what it is. I can't say this is what I was experiencing, or this is what I was feeling. It's literally like that. It's like a resemblance of something. It's like this impression that comes upon you, on your spirit, on your soul. It's really, that's my best way to describe it. It's, it's like this, or it's like that. It's like, it's my arms out. It's like as if, somebody on the cross. Yeah, I woke up. And so I was like looking at the position of myself and thinking, why am I sleeping like this with my arms wide open like this? Yeah. And I started thinking, I wonder if somebody had been doing some magic work on me or something, some spells on me or something, because of the way that I woke up. But basically, this is what I wanted to explain, was just how my perceptions were so, this heightened perception, and how I think this heightened perception awareness that I had was really, you can get, your perceptions can become so heightened that your senses, the things that you're seeing in the physical and in the natural, your perceptions, your eyes, your ears, things like this, it's like you're seeing not just only in the natural, you're seeing from your spiritual eyes as well. And I think that's basically what it was. And I was saying yesterday about this hotness feeling that it's like I could see in people, and I was saying, it wasn't exactly lust and it wasn't exactly sexual desire. What it was I was very attuned to the carnal nature. That's what it was. That carnality, of us, of like just, of human, of our nature. The carnality of our nature. That's what it was. Yeah. So yeah, I've already spoken about, when I came out of the hospital, and then the few weeks after that, the few months after that, how, how I got better, how I got back in my right frame of mind and whatever. I've already spoken about that, so go and watch that video in another video if you're interested. But I remember when I came out of the hospital, because my brother and my sister are, they're very like neat freaks. My sister's very much like a neat freak, and my brother's got a very, very like visual, artistic eye, and he can be like that as well. He can be a bit sort of, we're very like neat, clean people. All my family are, but I don't know why they just do this thing. Like, I do feel like my family, they just try to put me in this bracket, like my cleanliness standards or my tidiness standards or my hygiene standards are not up to theirs or something. I do feel like my family do that, and I don't know why they do that, but they do. I think they just need to mind their own business, really, because we all grew up in the same household with the same mum and dad. So why they think that they've got this much better, higher standards than myself, I really don't know. It's just the way they are. But yeah, anyway, as I said, they're quite neat, clean people. And when I came out, I've noticed the way my brother and my sister had rearranged and organised all my things in my room, and I'm just feeling this really deep sense of appreciation, the way it just looked all so neat and so tidy and organised. And my sister had got these pillows, and I'll show you. Yeah, because even when I came back out, I still wasn't fully back to normal, and I knew that I wasn't completely gone, and I wasn't as gone as I was when I was in the hospital, but I knew myself, I still wasn't quite fully back to normal. And so I think my sister, she bought me these, the way she arranged my bedroom, I think she bought me these new pillows and cushions, and you see like the sequins here, like this, they're not really glittering, shining on the camera, but I don't mean she bought me these, I'm saying like with the sequined effect, and this chiffon like silky material. They had this, I think, you know, that I can never pronounce it. Is it Chiro with the intertwined C's? I think it was some sort of design like this, but it had a crown on it. This type of fashion was very popular around this time. It wasn't with the crown. There's some brand with like the crown in sequins, but it wasn't the actual brand. It was like, you know, you get like these rip-off brands. It was something like this, but it had like the crown with the sequins. And yeah, the way they just like reorganised like my bookshelves and my room and my bedroom and the quilt covers and the clothes in my wardrobe, it all just looked, I remember just feeling this real deep sense of appreciation, this gratefulness. And again, I had this, it's like in my mind I was feeling like, oh, now and again I'll just get this sense of like royalty, but it was like a spiritual royalty. Yeah, that's how I remember feeling like that. And again, it was reminiscent of this way that I was perceiving when I was in the hospital, of what I was talking about yesterday, when the lady, she was organising all the videos on the shelf, and there was just this perfected orderliness to it. And yeah, so when I came out of the hospital and I saw the way that they'd rearranged and organised all my room, it had that same feeling, this like perfected orderliness to it. It's really hard for me to, it's like the way, what I'm saying, it's so like mundane and it's so tedious, but profoundness of it, the depth of the, I can't call it feeling, you know, the impression, I can't get across to you how it was. And that's my best way of explaining it. It was like this perfected orderliness, but it wasn't just orderliness like in the natural. It was this perfected supernatural orderliness about it that was giving me this feeling like, oh right, yeah, like that feeling again, like, oh yeah, I've made it kind of thing, like, oh, I've made it to like the spiritual royal kingdom or something like that. I was just like feeling like this. Like I said, I was very much in like the spirit realm. So yeah, that was like the last things I think I wanted to talk about and touch on when I had that spiritual psychosis. But to end this series, to end the videos, what I want to say is many of us, they do say, I think, about in the UK anyway, I can only talk for the UK, they say 1/4 of people have some form of mental health situation, whether it's anxiety or depression or more severe forms, you know, or more milder forms. They said 1/4 of the population, and they said it's on the rise as well, especially with younger people. A lot of people have issues and concerns with their mental health. So I'm doing these videos really just because, as I said, I have never really, not even with my own family, I've never spoken in depth with anybody about all these things that I've been discussing that I've been talking about in these videos. I haven't told anybody. And so I'm doing these videos really just to encourage that conversation and encourage people, if you've ever had anything similar. A lot of the times it's, you know, these doctors, they're trying themselves to figure out what is going on. They don't know themselves. A lot of it's just, they go by textbook theory, and then the medical profession, they actually have a book full of all these terminologies. So, you know, even the doctors, a lot of what they diagnose you with or say that you've got, there's no actual basis in it. And these terminologies, these labels that they put on you, there's actually no actual fundamental basis, you know, of these terminologies that they put you on or under. It's just, you know, they're going by your behaviours that you're displaying and the symptoms that you're displaying. They have to put a name to it. They have to put some kind of label or name to it. You know, they're trying to get an understanding of how to treat you, of how to get you back to better, how to get you back to, you know, behaving into the norm. But a lot of the times, you know, when people are having these mental, conditions, a lot of the time it's, if you look into like the holistic way of treating, a lot of the times it's to do with, what I'm saying is the medical profession, they ignore that part of us, that we're a spirit being, and they don't take into account these things, of the spirit, that we're a spiritual being. We have a spiritual consciousness. And a lot of the times when, people are having these kinds of episodes or illnesses or whatever you want to call it, many times it's not that they're ill. They're actually undergoing or going through some kind of spiritual awakening. Yeah. So, yeah, I just want to say that. And so, never, I would say I'll try to encourage people, if you've to talk about, like, if you've had anything similar, any similar experience. As I said, you can start to feel stigmatized, but you're only going to get over that stigma if you let people in, talk about your experience, let people understand, let people aware, and the more you open up and talk about it, I'm not saying you have to go like me, what I'm doing, come on YouTube and, open a YouTube channel and tell your YouTube channel all about it, but at least, try and find a confidant or somebody that you trust and someone you can talk to openly, about these things that, you've experienced or, that has been going on with you mentally. A lot of the times you'll find that you're not the only one. And there's more bigger than what you'd realise percentage of the population that have these types of experiences. It's very normal. We're just we're so like programmed into the matrix to, not talk about these things, to just shut down our senses and comply with like, this 3D reality. Just keep going to work, keep earning more money, keep accumulating and consuming, so anything outside of that program, obviously people are always going to say, oh, well, it's too outside of the norm, it's too taboo. But you will find, many, if you actually start to open up about it, many people have very similar experiences, because we're all human and we're all connected. We're all part of that oneness. So we all have that Christ consciousness within us. It's just that with some of us, it gets awakened in us, and some of us, it's just there lying dormant. And other people may experience it, but in a different way. Like some people, they talk about the base of their spine, their kundalini energy rising. They've had the kundalini awakening or whatever. Kundalini energy, like, rising up through their spine, going to the top of their head. Many people have experienced these these kind of conditions, but they're just may termed differently. A lot of times also termed differently due to one's background, because of person's background, and like obviously my background is Christian, so somebody who's Hindu, they may go through a very similar experience, but the language that they use, and the terminology that they use to describe what they've gone through will be different, because they're understanding the way of them relaying what they understand culturally. It will sound very different to maybe somebody else's experience, but it will be a very, very similar experience. So yeah, I just want to say that, and just try to encourage people, talk, tell people, talk about your experience. Enlighten, because you're enlightening other people as well, and you'll find as well, you probably think, oh, you know what, I don't tell people that, I don't talk about this because people are just going to think I'm really crazy, they're going to think it's really strange. And also, don't talk about these if you don't feel the need to, because I have felt, a lot of, not pressure to explain myself, but, I'm doing these videos, because I'm doing self-therapy on myself, and I'm at this particular point in my journey that, I want to talk about this right now. But somebody, like, for many years, I didn't want to I don't feel the need that I have to like explain myself to people. And you may feel like, you know what, I don't need to explain anything to anybody, you know, that, or you may feel like, well, that's part of my past. I don't need to talk about that. You know, I've moved on from that now. I've got on with my life, which is all good and fair enough. So what I would say is, even though I'm not saying, yeah, I'm encouraging, you know, people to speak, yeah, if you've had these experiences. Similarly, likewise, what I'm not saying is that you have to or you should do. You know, I'm not encouraging you to go around and start telling your brother or your sister, you know, or your mom or the doctor, go running to the doctor every 5 minutes, telling them your deepest, darkest secrets, you know, and fantasies, and telling them absolutely everything that's going on in your brain, because that's not going to be conducive to yourself or anybody. So that's what I'm not saying. Okay. Likewise, you don't have to go running to the doctor, find a counsellor, and tell them every single jit and dot about what's going on with you either in your mind or everything that you're doing. Like, people don't need to know like absolutely everything, do they? You know, I'm choosing myself right now, you know, to talk about this experience online. I don't have to do that. So similarly, likewise, you know, you don't have to feel pressure, you know, to talk about things that you just either you feel like you've dealt with, you know, you've got out your system, you've dealt with it in your own way, or you just don't want to talk about. Similarly, likewise. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably be more understood than what you realise. And, yeah, you'll be more understood than what you realise. Not everybody does think these things are crazy. And even if, you know, somebody doesn't really want to have that, like, dialogue directly with you, as I said, we're all human. We all have that human spiritual condition. Somewhere in them, they're gonna know what you're talking about, even if they haven't experienced this thing or gone through that themselves. Something inside them, they're gonna know what you're talking about, because we're all connected. We all have that oneness. But yeah, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for joining me on this journey, listening to my experience. Like the video, share, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know. As I said, you know, if you've been through anything similar, do not be afraid, you know, don't be scared thinking, oh, what are people going to think about me, you know, if I share or if I tell, you know, about these you know, experiences that I've gone through. But I'm going to end that video there. And I've also sent some other videos. I want to talk about, I want to do a series about my my dealings with the mental health services, as well as social services, social and family services. I think that's the next thing I'm gonna talk about in my videos. So tune in for those, for my next couple of uploads that I'm gonna upload. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye bye. See you later. Bye bye. Have a great day. So I just wanted to end the video by saying, because I'm giving a lot of, I wouldn't say advice, but you know, I'm talking about quite deep topics. So I just want to relay the fact that I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I've worked in an educational setting for over 10 years with young people, and I'm qualified as a trainer. I have a diploma in education and training. I'm a qualified personal fitness trainer. A qualified coach. Yeah, I have a diploma from Speak Up Challenge as a professional coach. So, and not only that, I have my own vast life experience from which I can delve into. So, I am qualified to coach and offer mentorship, and I do know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I just wanted to end the video by saying that. Thanks for listening. Tune into my next video. Thank you. Bye.